Our SalesGym Compete Selling sales tip for today is understand before influence. This is most definitely one of the most important principles of selling. We have got to ask questions, understand, and then summarize before we try to sell. This is probably the most common mistake in selling. And when salespeople really understand that the key to selling is to ask questions that drive resistance down and increase receptivity, they really start to get better results. So let's take a closer look at this fundamental of selling that could help you to increase your sales. To really understand how to have more influence, it helps to understand three core fundamentals. The first is that it's important to reduce resistance before we try to influence. The second fundamental is the people that you are trying to influence are going to become more receptive to your ideas if you ask, listen, and understand before you present your ideas or try to influence their thinking. And the third key principle is when it does come time for you to present your ideas, try to use the voice of the customer, or what we call peer-to-peer phrasing. It makes your ideas more interesting and it helps you to become a better storyteller. So here are a couple of great ideas that can help you to increase receptivity while you lower that resistance. The first is dedicate yourself to becoming the master of starting meetings with a great agenda. A properly planned agenda can really set the stage for a good interactive dialogue. And that's the kind of dialogue you want, because you want to ask questions, listen, ask more questions, listen, and then summarize. So at the end of your agenda, you might ask a question like this to get that dialogue going right from the start. Hey John, in addition to the agenda items we just went over, what's the most important thing you'd like to get out of our meeting today? Okay, so that's one idea that can really work for you. End that agenda with a good open-ended question to get input on what they want to get out of the meeting. That gets them talking right away and starts lowering resistance. The second idea that can really help is after you've asked a few questions and listened, summarize what you've learned. This is really critical because it validates in the decision maker's mind that you were really listening and you heard what they had to say. And here's the key. End your summary with a question like this. Hey John, in addition to what I just summarized back to you, what else would you add to help me to understand your situation even more clearly? You see, if you end your summary like that, it's going to prompt them to give you even more information, and it really communicates that you care about understanding their situation. So these are some really core fundamentals that can help you to understand before you try to influence. I'd like to share a thought from a person that really spoke eloquently about the importance of understanding before we try to influence. That is Dr. Stephen Covey. Here's what he said. If I were to summarize in one sentence the single most important principle I have learned in the field of interpersonal relations, it would be this. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So let's take Dr. Covey's advice seriously and understand before we try to influence. And remember to subscribe to the SalesGym YouTube channel.